Hey everybody, it's Steven Lai, and I'm with my really good friend and buddy Mark Fernie. How Give us a wave, Mark.
Hey there, how's it going?
Very well. You know, I was chatting to Mark the other day, and he lives down in Cornwall, and I was thinking it would be really cool to maybe get together and have. I think your phrase was a fireside chat. Much more fun than maybe doing a Zoom. You got your head in a box, and you got some PowerPoints in there. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Obviously, keeping warm by the fire here, trying not to get scorched as well. So yeah.
Man, I'm going really commando style. I've got a t-shirt on at the moment. It is a bit chilly, so I really appreciate that fire. So,
It's cool.
what did we get to the other day? Well, the other day I was asking you because you are experienced, a property professional. You built up a property portfolio, but there's one of the things that I've always struggled with is around due diligence. I mean, it's a word that gets bandied around. It's really important, but sometimes you're a little bit embarrassed that you don't know what it is, or what it does and why it's so important. So I thought it'd be really cool if maybe I can get your take on that. What do you think? Would that be cool?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, perfectly happy to do that. And yeah, I can run through yeah, my take and my the recommended things that you should do, basically. Whoa,
Awesome.
I'm hanging up here like a bat at the moment.
Oh, don't
Let
worry.
me
Let's bring you into
there
your
we go.
teaching section. All right. Well, let's first of all, I'm tiny. Let's grow a
I
bit. No, no,
mean,
no, no. I've got
right,
to be
there
bigger
we
than you.
go.
Bigger than you. Bigger than you. Okay. So
There
we
we
were talking
go. That's
about
set up.
due diligence, and
Cool.
for me, it'd be great to maybe get your take in terms of what it is, but really, what is it the result that it provides if you do it properly?
Yeah, I suppose it's basically the process that you go through to gather all the information and data that is required to make an informed investment decision. Because until you've got that raw data, it's impossible to accurately sort of forecast and have projections going into the future. You need to be able to project investments into the future to know whether they're ultimately a good short and long-term investment.
Well, that's all great, and that's a good explanation. But where do you start?
Um, Really, it's about looking at all the documents that are available to start with. So things like AST, so your assured short hold tenancy agreements, lease agreements. Now, these documents are going to be different depending on the type of property it is, or the type of income property it is that you're looking to invest in. And the information actually can be sort of quite hard to find sometimes, and a lot of people don't actually even know where to look or who to ask. So it's about yeah, collecting everything that is relevant, basically.
And so my sort of biggest takeaway off of that is before you commit to something, know what you're committing to, and I guess that's why you're gathering all those important documents.
Yeah, exactly, because they're legal documents that you have to sort of abide by if you become the landlord effectively.
The
Yes,
important
you want to
stuff
know
that you
exactly that. You want to know what you're committing to.
the important stuff you basically put in the folder and don't lose it.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, moving on.
So yeah, number two is taxes. Now, again, depending on the property, there'll be different taxes that you're liable for, whether that's council tax, whether that's business rates. You may have, depending on the property or the business, you may get small business rates relief, all sorts of different things about taxes. But obviously, you need to know who's paying those taxes, whether it's you, your tenants, etc., and also how much those taxes are, and whether they're actually liable to change in future as well, because that would affect your future projections.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think they often say that, there's two things you can't get out of, and that's death and taxes. And you really want to know that if there's going to be taxes coming your way, who's paying for those and really how much.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is, yeah, that's perfect. Number three, utility bills. Yeah, utility bills. And everyone understands that. Obviously, yeah, cost of gas is obviously astronomical at the moment. And if you, it's possible to contact all the utility companies for the property and actually get all the usage figures, which then again allows you to work out what your actual what the costs are to run the property. And that's what you need to know, so you can actually work out what the property is going to make now and again in the future.
So I think you touched on a great point, which is around the electricity part. Although it says £58 there, probably in the last 3 months or so, because of the cost of energy soaring through the roof, that might be double that. But really, my main takeaway is that know the costs so you can forecast your net income really accurately.
Yeah, exactly that. Perfect.
Cool. Now you sneaked in this particular slide, which I thought was quite an interesting slide, which is around empathy. I'd love to hear your thoughts around, the take on empathy.
Yeah. So when you're sort of going through this process, and obviously maybe speaking to the sellers, sometimes you might get information that actually, or be given information that isn't actually quite right, and ultimately you're trying to find out the correct data. Now, through that process, it's unlikely to be sort of malicious and people telling you things that aren't true, but they just might not. Again, they might not know where to look. They might not have as deep an understanding as you. They might have just made a completely genuine mistake. Now, if that's the case, it's really important to have a sensible conversation with them, with the sellers, and because it helps your relationship along the way. Ultimately, when you're buying a property, it's got to work for everyone. You want the process to actually go through to completion, so you need to be sensible when things aren't potentially as you've been told, basically.
So I guess my takeaway is that property is a people's business, and it's about being human. And sometimes when things don't go quite right, not because it's malicious or not, sharing a little bit of empathy really does go a long way, in particular for developing those relationships.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We're all human, and sort of showing that, as you say, goes a long way.
Cool. Now, I know you got a super 2 top tip. It's so big. Look at it. It's that big. What's your top tip, buddy?
This is a good one, and it's one that you might think, "What? I can't ask that," or you might think that you're going to be told where to go when you ask it. But ask to see basically the seller's tax return for the property. You don't need to see the whole tax return, obviously. You just need to see the section that's relevant to the property. And if that's a personal tax return, or if the property is held personally, that would be on a personal tax return. If the property is held through a company, that would be on the corporate tax return, because it's highly unlikely that any seller is going to overstate the income and understate the expenses on their tax return. It's as simple as that. So it's a great thing to have visibility of.
Well, that's a super tip. It's a bit like cutting through all of the noise and getting to the closest to the source of the truth, because that's the piece that on the stuff that you send back, it's the truth.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, simple as that.
All right, moving on. I think this is. Hold on, I'm going to squeeze out of the way here. It says replay what they've told you. Now, you and I, we've known each other sometimes, and sometimes when you explain something to me and I don't understand it, what I tend to do is I replay what it is that I've heard, and 2 things are going to happen. Either one, when I replay it back to you, it doesn't make any sense, or I can't explain it, which means that I haven't understood what you said. Or if I've replayed it back and that's what I've actually heard, and that is correct, then it's maybe something you can then set in stone. Now, how do you relate that into property?
So how we do it is all of the information that you've actually sort of uncovered effectively through this process, especially obviously to do with the legal contracts, so your short-hold tenancy agreements, your leases, etc. Actually quote it all and state it all as part of the actual offer that you make on the property. So it becomes part of the heads of terms, which is the sort of the agreement to buy the property. Because then later on through the legal process that your solicitors will go through, if things are uncovered, then you've actually got something to actually sort of compare it to that was in writing formally, rather than just sort of verbal conversations and stuff that you're given along the way. It puts you in a much stronger position to then either just resolve the situation one way or another, renegotiate, whatever you need to do based on what it is that's been uncovered.
And I guess one of the biggest takeaways is that there are no unpleasant surprises because you've already had that conversation. It's been captured somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only have you had the conversation, got the information, but you've recorded it in a way that can be referred to legally, basically.
Awesome. Okay, moving on. I don't know. I can't remember this handsome bloke, but he's from, I think, Suits. Harvey Specter. That's right. The solicitor.
That's the one. Yeah. Great series.
I think you were telling me about the difference between solicitors. There are solicitors and there are solicitors. And I think maybe one of the analogies that we touched upon was, if you've got a bit of a brain problem, you go and see your GP, or maybe you want to go and see the brain surgeon. So what do you mean by solicitors?
Well, in that instance, I would definitely be going to see the brain surgeon, for sure. So solicitors basically... there's multiple different sorts of solicitors. They all specialize in something different. So if you're buying a particular income generating property, you want to have your solicitor. You need a solicitor that is an expert in that field. So if you're buying a commercial property, you want a commercial property expert on your team doing the conveyancing, someone that's done the conveyancing on thousands of other commercial properties. If you're buying an apartment block that's got 50 apartments in it, definitely don't go to your local family solicitor that gave you advice on someone running your dog over or whatever it was. You need the expert. Simple as that.
So I think probably a takeaway there is just go and hire the specialist, hire the person who knows their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Right. I think that was it. I think let's do a quick recap. So things that we covered, documents, taxes, utility bills, all of the stuff that's important that you're going to be filing away somewhere, but also those tax and utility bills, because you want to know what the expenses are, the actual real income figure. And then there's about empathy and your top tip in terms of what to really ask for. Replay, make sure everyone understood correctly, and then hire yourself your best solicitor, because they're going to save you a lot of money in the long run.
Exactly that. That is literally the perfect roundup.
Cool.
For sure.
So maybe I like to use this analogy. It's kind of like a checklist. What you do is you just follow the checklist. You remove the risk of actually missing anything important. And in doing so, you're just going to get better at it time and time again. And hopefully that is a good sort of roundup or an understanding of due diligence.
Yeah, no, without a shadow of doubt. That is, perfect roundup of your property related due diligence. There's also the next phase of the due diligence that you would go on to would be the market due diligence. So maybe we could have a chat about that sometime as well.
Well, do you know what? I did have a lot of fun this week. So maybe what we do is we'll do this again, maybe next week. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt.
All right. Well, in that case, nothing else to basically say, but I am going to fade away. I'm going to wish you a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Bye.